Good evening. Welcome to the Human Rights Commission meeting for January 22nd. Tonight is our forum on identity theft, and we'll start. I'll ask everybody to please stand and we'll salute the flag. I pledge allegiance
to the flag
of the United
States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible,
with liberty and
justice for all.
Thank you. And Commissioner Carteret, will you please read the mission statement?
Be delighted to. The mission of the Human Rights Commission of Palm Springs is to promote improved human relations, civic peace, intergroup understanding, and the full acceptance, respect, and participation of all persons in all aspects of community life, so that we will be equal in the eyes of each other.
Thank you. And Lee, would you do the roll call, please?
Commissioner Janis, he's excused tonight. Commissioner Brown, absent. Commissioner Elliott,
present.
Commissioner Bowens,
Here.
Commissioner Feingold,
Present.
Commissioner Zelnis,
Here.
Commissioner Carteret,
Here.
and Commissioner Aguano.
Here.
Thank you. And Lee, do you have something to tell me about the agenda?
Yes, the agenda was posted according to the Brown Act on January 16th.
Thank you very much. And now it's my pleasure to turn over the forum to Commissioner Aguano, who's planned this evening, and I thank you, and take it away.
Thank you, Bill. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, this evening's forum on identity theft. We consider this a bookends forum. Several months ago, you may remember, we did a forum on elder abuse. And much to most people's surprise, we found out that elder abuse really is more about financial abuse than physical, and that it is mostly perpetrated by strangers and family members. Tonight we are doing identity theft, how it happens and what you can do about it. Tonight, this evening with us, we have Detective Bill Hanley from the Palm Springs Police Department, and he's in the economic crime section. We're going to have a little bit different format this evening. We're going to have approximately a 45-minute PowerPoint presentation, and then we're going to show a brief movie about 23 minutes long, and then we're going to open it up to questions and comments from the commissioners, and then we'll see if our studio audience has any questions and comments. Also, at the end of the evening, we have this publication that's available. It's called Identity Theft: When Bad Things Happen to Your Good Name, and we'll tell you how you can get a copy of this booklet. So without further ado, I'd like to turn it over to Detective Bill Hanley. Bill?
All right, well, first off, I'd like to thank the Commission for allowing me to make this presentation. I've worked in this assignment now. This is my second year and my second tour as we rotate detectives around in assignments. This is my second tour in economic crime, and I waited for this assignment to open so I could have it. And the last time I worked this was about 10 years ago. There was no identity theft really being perpetrated then. When I came back, I was confronted with this, and this has been a very interesting part of my assignment that I've got to work. Originally, this presentation that I'm going to show you tonight was given to the California Escrow Association when they came to town. And this is the agenda that I would propose for the tonight. I'll go through these slides. I think it'll take about 45 minutes. Obviously, the best presentation will be one with really good questions, so I'm going to put it back on you folks' shoulder to throw out the questions that people really want answered. Following the presentation, the U.S. Postal Inspectors gave me a film on identity theft, and it's a very good film, and then we'll follow it up with questions. I'd like to start this presentation by telling you about a house that Jack built. This was currently being sold in Palm Springs for $104,000, $104,900, and it was built in 1982. It's a clean, neat private home with a pretty front yard. It sits back off the street. It's got a pool and a spa in the backyard. Nice interior features, light, spacious kitchen, lots of cabinets, counter space with track lighting. Cathedral ceilings in the living room, dining area, 2 bedrooms, 2 bathrooms, loads of storage space, central air and heat, a security screen door, solar screens, and more. It's got a detached 1-car garage with a roll-up door, excellent second home, investment property or for a first-time home buyer. It's on city leased land. There's a charge of $37.50 every 3 months for that. And this house was built by Jack Morrow. This is essentially the house that Jack built. Now I'll introduce you to the Joneses. They're a hardworking couple. He's an accountant, she's a nurse. They have no children. Last year, they made a combined income of $90,000. They paid off their 2 credit cards, and they started looking for their first house. And they like the house that Jack built. They've got $20,000 to put down, and if they move real fast in this current real estate market, they'll probably qualify to buy their first house. This is the loan application for the Joneses that they're going to fill out so they can purchase the house that Jack built. And as you can tell, it's a typical huge amount of paperwork. Contained in this loan application are social security numbers, a credit history, although when they actually get the official documents, there'll be another credit history run by the financial institution that's going to offer them the loan for the house. It's got addresses and all types of other information that people would put in when they're applying for a loan. This is a realty company that the Joneses started providing their paperwork to for their dream house. The house that Jack built. And this is Jerry the janitor. Jerry the janitor works weekends at the realty company where that loan application is for the Joneses who want to buy that house that Jack built. He just found a new way to float some credit for things that he wants to buy. And he doesn't really have any credit cards because his credit rating is very poor. With his recent divorce, where his wife got everything, and his even more recent bankruptcy, watch what happens. This is the computer that Jerry the janitor owns. He's working weekends at that realty company, and he saw that loan application that the Joneses were going to use to purchase that house that Jack built. His computer is a 4.5 megabyte hard drive, 33 1/3 megahertz processor. It was state-of-the-art several years ago, but it's rather old now. And Jerry's going to use the Joneses' name and their MasterCard number and go to Computer City online to buy a brand new computer. And this is the mailbox. This one's in front of 13316 Avenida Hermosa in Palm Desert. And that's where the new TV and the new computer that Jerry the janitor bought are going to be sent. And Jerry ordered those with his old computer, and he used that information that he got from the realty company where he saw that loan application that the Joneses completed in order to qualify that house that Jack built. And by the way, this is not where Jerry lives. This is down the street from where Jerry lives. He goes back and forth on his way to and from home and work. This house is not lived in during the summertime, and UPS didn't know that when they put the computer and the TV out on the back porch, that it would end up in Jerry's hands. Jerry had told them that it would be okay to leave it on the back porch. It would be safe there. And this is the vacation that Bob took to the Caribbean. And you're probably wondering now who Bob is. Well, Bob is Jerry's cousin. And he collects credit card numbers obtained from people like Jerry. He paid Jerry $20 for that good credit card number. And Lord knows how many other good credit card numbers he's purchased. Maybe he got some from a waiter at a restaurant that was down in San Diego. Or maybe he got them from a website that doesn't have a secure entry for credit cards. Maybe it was a mailbox where people had their credit cards dropped off. Somebody went by and picked it up. Let's go back to the Joneses. These are the new credit card bills that the Joneses need to pay. They haven't received them. That's because their new credit cards for Saks, Macy's, Lands' End, Visa, MFB, Providian, Costco, and on, those credit cards are being sent to an address on Moonstruck Avenue in Decatur, Alabama. As you recall, the Joneses live here in Palm Springs. The credit cards were maxed out, were sold to other bad people in return for cash. This is the credit collection agency calling the Joneses, asking them when they're going to start paying their MasterCard. It's now 90 days overdue. The balance on the card is $5,000 and rising, and the other balances are also rising too for the other cards. As you'll recall, the Joneses had paid off every single one of their credit cards when they prepared to buy the house that Jack built. And that was before they filled out their loan application and gave it to the realty company where Jerry the janitor worked on Saturday, who used his old computer to buy a new computer and a TV before selling the credit card to Bob, who used it for his vacation and to buy and sell merchandise. Let me go back here. And this is the escrow company. This is tied in because this is where Sarah worked for 2 years, and she handled the paperwork for the Joneses loan. And after that last bundle of paperwork went through, Sarah left. She was 6 months pregnant, and she wanted to take off from work and stay at home and care for her new baby and her baby's two older brothers. This is the dumpster behind the escrow company where Sarah's job application went because she's no longer working for that escrow company. This job application had her name, her date of birth, her social security number, her mom's name, just in case somebody needed to get a hold of her mother in case of emergency. This is Dave the dumpster diver. I know that Dave has a mother out there somewhere who's probably shocked about seeing him on TV, but anyway. Dave found Sarah's information, and it's been a hard week in the recycling business. And Dave needed a few extra dollars for that bottle of Mad Dog 2020. So he sold her information. This is Charles, the cell phone crook. He paid Dave, the dumpster diver, $7 for the info that was in the dumpster behind the escrow company where Sarah used to work. Charles needed a cell phone to call his drug connection and his other buddies collecting information on people's identity. And that cell phone he's on, that is Sarah's cell phone. He got that with Sarah's name. She doesn't know it yet. What Charles did is he had a girlfriend named Charlene, and he had her create a phony identification in Sarah's name, and then he walked into a Sprint dealer in the mall, or she did rather, and she took out a contract with unlimited free minutes after 7 p.m. Charles there is busy dialing a 900 number. Charlene doesn't know about that. This is Dan, the drug addict, Alfred the addict. How are they involved? Well, you see 2 months after Charlene bought the cell phone using Sarah's identity, she and Charles had a fight. Charlene left and took the cell phone. It's now been about a week where it's been left on, and it's going to be shut off pretty shortly. And Charlene sells the cell phone for $10. And then Charlene's new boyfriend beat her up and took her $10 because he needed some methamphetamine. Go this way. And now we're experiencing a computer lock. So hopefully we can get through that. And there's our computer man.
Here comes our expert.
Right at the very end of the story, there we go. Still locking up. Oh, he's working on that. I'll tell you about this story. It doesn't have a very happy ending. It's going to take the Joneses about 175 hours on the telephone and writing letters to clear up their credit, and about $800. Remember Jerry the janitor? He was never caught. He continued looking for opportunities to better himself from job site to job site using other people's identity. Bob, his cousin, was later arrested with other people's credit cards, but they never suspected that he was involved with the Joneses. Dave the dumpster diver moved to Ukiah for the summer because it's really too hot to look in dumpsters in Palm Springs during the summertime. Charles the cell phone crook is on his 12th cell phone and his 5th girlfriend. Dan the drug dealer is doing time at Chuckwalla Prison for taking money from an undercover police officer in a drug buy. And Alfred the addict is on summary probation for beating up his girlfriend. We'll catch up on the slides, but essentially what I'm going to do now is talk to you about identity theft and the problem that it's causing people throughout the country. In the course of a normal business day, you write a check at a grocery store, you charge tickets to a ball game, you rent a car, you mail your tax returns, you call home on your cell phone, order new checks, or you apply for a credit card. And you may not ever give any thought when you do this. However, there's probably a crook that is out there that is watching you and is concerned about that. Identity theft essentially affects each one of us on a daily basis, and it could happen to everybody or anybody here in the room. Identity theft is when someone appropriates your personal information without your knowledge to commit a fraud or a theft. Identity theft is when bad things happen to your good name. What will happen is your name will be co-opted, your social security number will be used, your credit card number, or some other piece of your personal information will be used. In short, identity theft occurs when someone appropriates your personal information without your knowledge to commit fraud or theft. I'd like to read a poem to you by Nicole Robinson. Someone stole my identity. I now feel I am no longer me. I reside in the pocket of a felon who can see that she is allowed to steal me without penalty. She carries me casually, and each time she pulls me out, a small piece of me falls away, which leaves me no doubt that someday soon I will enter a place, and the person I once knew as me will be wearing a felon's face. There are 3 ways that bad people can obtain our identity that are primarily used for credit cards, cell phones, and bank accounts. What they'll do is they'll open up new credit card accounts using our name, our date of birth, our social security number, or they'll use credit cards and not pay the bills. And the delinquent account then is reported on your credit history. They'll call a credit card issuer and pretend to be you, change your mailing address or your credit card account, and then they'll run up charges on that account. And because your bills are being sent to a new address, you may not immediately realize that there's a problem. They may establish a cell phone service in your name, they may open a bank account in your name, or they may write bad checks on the account. What I'm going to do, I'm going to read the definition of identity theft, but essentially it's this. Identity theft is the misuse of personal or financial identifiers in order to gain something of value or to facilitate other criminal activity. For the police officer out there that is investigating identity theft, this is what he's looking for. Every person who willfully obtains personal identifying information as defined in subdivision B of another person and uses that information for any unlawful purpose, including to obtain or attempt to obtain credit, goods, services, medical information in the name of the other person without the consent of that person, is guilty of a public offense, and upon conviction, therefore, shall be punished either by imprisonment in county jail not to exceed 1 year, a fine not to exceed $1,000, or both that imprisonment and fine, or imprisonment in the state prison, a fine not to exceed $10,000, or both imprisonment and fine. The things that they are looking for are your name, your address, your telephone number, your driver's license number, your social security number, your place of employment, your employee identification number, your mother's maiden name, or information on your banking account, your checking or savings account, your credit card number, or any other idea. Hopefully we'll have the slides up here in a little bit, but let me give you an idea about where when somebody's identity is stolen, where it's going. About 42% of the people that have been victims of identity theft are experiencing it through credit card fraud. The next largest percentage would be 22%, and that's for phone or utility fraud, and then 17 for a bank fraud. There's employment-related fraud of 8%, loan fraud of 9%, government benefits 7%, and then there's a 16% that is going to other types of identity theft. I'm going to talk about each one of these in groups. And then there is 8% of this crime is just an attempt at identity theft. Looks like we have our slides back up now. Shall I take it from there? Yes. Okay. Okay, that's your percentages, what you're looking at. As you can tell, credit card fraud is by and far the largest type of identity theft that we're dealing with. And within credit card fraud, new accounts being established, about 24%. Existing accounts, 12%, and then you have the unspecified one. Now, maybe Providian mailed you a credit card and they sent it to your mailbox, but the bad person doing the identity theft has changed your address, and he's collecting 20 or 30 different credit cards. How do you stop your credit card from being stolen? Well, one of the problems that we have in Palm Springs is that we found that the crooks doing the identity theft are actually following the mailman around about a half hour behind them and going through people's mail. What's the fix for that is to know when your mail is being delivered and to go out immediately to your mailbox and pick it up, and certainly not leave the mail in your mailbox overnight. The other alternative would be to get a post office box at the post office or maybe one of the commercial establishments. But prior to this assignment, I worked vehicle-related accidents, and I have to tell you that the two most dangerous parking lots in Palm Springs are the post office parking lots. So you may be taking your life in your hands. I recall asking a guy one time why he was driving on the sidewalk, and he told me because the road was closed. So that's what we have to deal with. And you just have to take it and make a judgment call. And you have to be concerned not alone with the mail coming in, but your mail going out. Because there are household products that can be purchased at Lowe's or Builder Supply, and the people committing the identity theft can take your check that you sent to your utility company to pay your utility bill, dip it in these household products, take it back out the other side, and write the check to themselves. And you won't know about that until it clears the bank, 30 days or so. This way. Okay, this is our next largest type of identity theft. Number 2, obtaining cell phones. It's very easy to get a cell phone with a driver's license number and a social security number. So what if they don't belong to you? You can use somebody else's. And they can run up hundreds of dollars in bills. And then, of course, the telephone service for long-distance cards or your utilities. Interesting enough, one of the cases that I recently worked was a man who was paying the electric bill for somebody on the south end of the town that he didn't know. And when we got into the case, we found out that one of his checks had been stolen out of his mailbox, and the person that stole it then gave it to 2 or 3 other people who gave it eventually to a homeowner in the south end whose electricity had been shut off. He called the electric company and said, I'm Mr. Jones, and here's my credit or my checking account number. I'd like for you to open up my electricity, turn it back on. And the electric company complied with it. Okay, then we have bank fraud. People, the bad people are using your ATM card to do wire transfers of money, or they'll establish accounts in your name and run stolen, forged, or counterfeit checks through the account. We'll talk later on in this presentation about opting out, but I have worked several cases where people have had accounts opened in their name that they didn't know in different cities, and checks were placed in them, and then the checks turned out to be counterfeit, but unfortunately the bank didn't catch it right away, and literally tens to $20,000 went out the backside into the crook's hands. And then we have employment-related fraud. This is where somebody uses your Social Security number at a job site to get employment. You wouldn't think that would be too bad of a deal because, after all, they are paying Social Security taxes that eventually you'll get. But there can be some problems down the line when you fill out your income tax form and you forgot to tell them that you were also a waiter at a restaurant, and the federal government asks why you didn't declare $20,000 in income. Then we have loan fraud. And this is where people use your identity to obtain a loan for a car. And then they'll leave the business with a brand new car, leave you with the car payments for the next 5 years. Or they might take out a second on your house after they submit an address change to the mortgage company. They go get a second on the house and take that second, quickly negotiate it in a bank, and they're well on their way. And then we have the government documents and benefits fraud. We have driver licenses that are issued and some that are forged. These cause problems for law enforcement because we're writing tickets to you for speeding when you weren't the person that was speeding, it was some other person, and yet you're going to have a failure to appear, show up, and they'll have a warrant out for your arrest. And makes for an embarrassing situation when you've gone out for coffee with your wife and the police pull you over and take you to jail for not paying your tickets, but you haven't got any. And then we have fraudulent tax returns that people will complete so they can get your return. You have the Social Security cards. And Social Security cards, a lot of people will use those as a form of identification. And I'd just like to know from the people on the commission, how many people have your Social Security card with you right now? No. That's good. Because usually when I ask, most people do carry it in their wallet, and there's really, the only time you need to carry that Social Security card is when you're out applying for a job. The rest of the time, leave it at home. That way, if you lose your wallet, the people that find your wallet won't have your Social Security card and be well on their way. And of course, there is the bad people that are applying for Medicare and other health benefits as well. And these are some other types of identity theft that we experience. We have some criminals that set out to portray themselves as somebody else. Just recently in the jail, we had a lady that had been arrested for identity theft who tried to convince us that she was not who she said she was her sister. Unfortunately, when we checked, we found her sister was in the state prison, and we realized we had somebody else. And the internet. People portraying themselves as you in emails, that type of thing. Not unusual for us to get a case in Palm Springs where we'll have a person called at home by an acquaintance, and they'll say, "I've had a terrible accident. I'm in San Francisco. Would you please wire some money up to me?" And they go and they wire the money, and they get in touch with the person later on, and they find out that that person was never in an accident. And once that money hit the wire service, that money can be withdrawn from any Western Union throughout the United States simply by having the number. You don't have to go to where it's delivered. We have had cases of identity theft where bankruptcy has been filed on behalf of other people. sometimes in an act of revenge, and then securities fraud and other type of investments too. And of course, we have the attempted identity theft that goes on, which is stopped. What we're going to do now is I'm going to show you some charts that'll give you a breakdown of victims by age group in identity theft. As you can see, if you're under 18, you're relatively safe. Nobody's going to steal your identity, except maybe to obtain some medical benefits. The largest group are the people that make the most money in the country. Probably in that 60 and older group, 7% of that is 65% and over. And these are the people that have excellent credit histories, and they're often the victim. Let me show you how safe we are compared in California with the rest of the United States. The red is high. In California, there's more than 2,000 victims, and that's in 2001. Top 8 locations. California, number 1. That's with 30,000 people, followed by Texas and New York. If you're thinking about leaving California and going somewhere else, don't go to any of these states, because they also have a problem with identity theft. This is identity theft victims per 100,000 of the population. As you can see, California's up there. The great state of Nebraska is relatively safe. Here's our theft victims for the top 8 locations. California, 90.7 per 100,000. The District of Columbia is only one that has more than we do. And I'd like to give you a perspective of how this breaks down compared to other crimes like murder. You're probably 13 times more likely to have your identity stolen than you are to be murdered, which is probably good news. Forcible rape is 50. Robbery, you're 3 times more likely to be robbed than to have your identity stolen. 22 times more likely to be assaulted. 20 times more likely to have your residence burglarized, but if it's a crook that knows what he's doing, when he burglarizes your residence, he'll take the documents he needs to commit identity theft later on. You're 51 times more likely to experience some other kind of theft. You're 10 times more likely to have your car stolen than to have your ID stolen. And 46 times more likely to be in a vehicle accident. So I don't want you to paint the picture that it's bad. But in garnering these statistics, from the last time I did the presentation, identity theft doubled. Let's talk about the other states where you might be considering moving. You might want to avoid these states here. Now, where is it safe in California to live? Be free from identity theft. Well, Los Angeles is obviously one of the highest places, followed by San Diego, San Francisco, Sacramento, and San Jose. You're probably wondering about Palm Springs. I got this information right before I came over here last year. We had 87 cases of identity theft reported to our agency where a report was taken. And it doesn't mean that there was just 87 cases in Palm Springs, and I'll go on to explain part of the problem with that. And this is kind of a breakdown of how many suspects that committed identity theft are out there. As you can see, California has a high number of identity theft suspects within its border. We're only number 4. Good news. These are the other locations that have a high percentage of identity theft suspects. What I'm going to do now is tell you what you should do if you are a victim of identity theft. If you're a victim of identity theft, the most important thing that you can do is contact the credit reporting agencies and request a fraud alert be placed on your credit history, and also ask for a copy of your credit report. Because if you're a victim, you know about one institution, but until you see your credit history, you don't know how many other places the bad people have gone to get credit in your name. The second person you want to contact after the credit reporting agency is your local law enforcement office. I emphasize here local, because if your identity is stolen, the person using your identity may be in Maine or in Florida, but you no longer, thank goodness to our legislature, have to go there to report this. 2 years ago, the state legislature enacted a law that required law enforcement officers to take a report on identity theft if the person lives within the jurisdiction for that law enforcement agency. In other words, if you're a citizen of Palm Springs and your identity's been stolen, you can go to the Palm Springs Police Department and report it. We have to, by law, take that report. And I believe our department's up on that. I believe most departments are. There are a few departments out there that are not up to speed. Most of the older officers are probably unaware of this. What we would do with that report is if the crime's not occurring in Palm Springs, we would transfer it to the jurisdiction where it could be investigated at. What I'm going to show you now is a slide, and this will depict the number of months between the date the identity theft first occurred and the date it was discovered by the victim. As you can see, most of it is discovered within a year, about 25% of it, and then it drops off. It's amazing, though, that you have an equal amount that goes 6 years or more before it's discovered by somebody. Well, what can you do to protect yourself? I've already mentioned don't carry your Social Security card in your wallet. Don't write your PIN number on the back of your credit cards. My wife, I try to convince her she doesn't need all the credit cards she has in her purse. She tells me otherwise. But if you're not going to use your credit card, you certainly don't need to have it out. Don't need to bring it with you. If you're not going to use a bank card, you don't need to bring that out. Again, don't carry your Social Security card in your wallet because that's an open invitation for an identity theft or an identity thief. If you don't need your health plan cards, you don't want to carry those with you. And then, of course, you want to tear up or shred papers before you throw them away. Tear up all your credit card offers and convenient checks that you don't use. Don't just put them in the trash. At the end of this presentation, I'm going to show you a wanted poster for a man that gained about $130,000 doing identity theft from one person in Palm Springs. Don't give your personal information out on the phone. And I experienced this again today with a lady that called from Illinois, where she'd been contacted by an agency in a neighboring city and asked to provide her Social Security number because they were investigating counterfeit checks. And yet when she asked the agency that was calling who they represented, they refused to answer. And that was her first clue right then not to give her Social Security number out, and thank goodness she didn't, because when she called our police department, we were able to backtrack it to a telemarketing place in a neighboring city. Now, if you do give your information out, it's important that you ask the 5 W's. Who's going to see your information? What are you going to do with your information, with my information? Where are you going to store my information at? When are you going to get rid of that information? What, when, where? Why do you need it? Thank you. Okay. Also, in addition to this, ways that you can protect yourself is to know how your information is going to be used, how financial institutions are going to use it, and you need to check your bills. I'm going to refer now to a scripture from the Bible, Proverbs 27:23. It says, "Be thou diligent to know the state of thy flocks, and look well to thy herds." And to us that says, look at your bills and see what kind of information is on there. Look at your checking account. Don't just put your return checks in the drawer or your check bank statement in the drawer to be reviewed 6 or 7 months later. Although financial institutions will handle a lot of the identity theft and they will take responsibility and wipe it from your record, if you wait 8 or 9 months to contest some kind of charge, chances are you're going to end up paying for it. And then my favorite, still out there, opt out. Now, I chose to do this a couple years ago by calling this number. I spent 30 seconds on the phone. Prior to that, I would get numerous offers for credit cards in the mail. After I opted out by calling this number and telling them I didn't want any offers for credit, it dropped to 0. My wife, who's sitting at home watching this program, has not opted out. And she gets numerous offers still in the mail. So, honey, I'm telling you, opt out. Call 888-5, opt out, spend 30 seconds. It's a free number, and they will take you off. You may still experience some offers for different things. Financial institutions, Visa, MasterCard, they have companies within their corporate umbrella that still will make offers to you. But this is a good number to have right down, and it doesn't take very long at all. And then these are the phone numbers for the different credit reporting agencies that you can call. I think it costs about $9 for a copy of your credit report.
Should we call each?
Yes, each one of them should be called. There are some minor differences, but by and large, if you call one, you're going to catch a lot of it. But to be very thorough, you need to call each one of them. You need to check your credit reports.
Could you go back?
Here, go back. Okay. The next one is, or the last one is on the following slide. Okay. Now, if you do happen to be a victim of identity theft, here's what I'm going to tell you to do. You want to report the fact that you've been the victim of identity theft to the 3 major credit reporting agencies, to each one of them. They will put a flag on your credit history, which will prevent you from being victimized further. You need to make a report to the police agency where you live. And again, in California, that agency is required to take a report under 530.6 of the Penal Code. And then you need to request information on the accounts to find out how it was established. And I've brought a few of these books here. This is provided by the Federal Trade Commission on identity theft. A local organization, Crime Stoppers, has agreed to pay for the printing of 1,000 of these, and they're going to be handed out at all the police departments. In this book, there is a form called a fraud affidavit. You would fill that out. You would list the police agency you've made a report to. You get a copy of the police report, and you mail the fraud affidavit to the company that has established the credit in your name. State law requires that within 10 days, this company will tell you how that account was opened. They'll give you the phone number that the person called from, or the email account that was used, or whatever. The very first step that we can have as a law enforcement agency in investigating it. But it has to be this fraud affidavit has to be filled out by the victim. And you have to have the police report. It has to be attached. If we get, and from time to time we do, get a credit institution that won't provide that information within 10 days, I can contact the Attorney General's office, and they will go after that company. And I've been told by the Attorney General's office that if that company fails to comply with the state law, they won't be operating in California. So there is a way to get this information. Okay, you contacted the police department, and you've requested the information. You're going to call your creditors. You're going to close any accounts that have been tampered with. That's another reason why you want to look at your credit history. We do have some victims that have refused to close accounts because of whatever reason. I'm thinking mainly now of checking accounts, where they wanted to keep their checking account open because they had a number of checks they thought there'd be a problem. And they've been victimized several more times just because of that. You want to complete the ID theft affidavit that's in the book here, and you want to write to the credit bureaus and tell them that you've been a victim of identity theft as well. They'll tell you how you can dispute information on your credit history, or if there's erroneous information, what can be done to correct it. And if an item is incomplete, the credit bureau will complete it. For example, if your file shows that you've been late making payments, but fails to show that you're no longer delinquent, the credit bureau could update that. Or if your file shows that an account that belongs to somebody else is on your credit history, the credit bureau can update that. I'm going to shift now from what victims can do to what businesses can do, and I think it's important to the consumer that the businesses comply with this. Businesses need to have a written policy in place, and they need to provide a notice to consumers about how that information is collected and what they're going to do with it. And they need to provide a choice to the consumer about whether that data is used for marketing purposes. Having this written policy in place will be the first step that business can take in protecting the consumer's identity. Describe how that data is going to be kept secure. Provide the consumer with access to the information that they collected from them, and ensure that the business is keeping things secure by doing audits within the business. They need to have a written policy regarding employees' access. One of the cases that I recently worked was a mortgage company that had people calling, offering seconds on real estate, and the people calling did not have access to the internet to check credit history. They had to check with their supervisor. Unfortunately, the supervisor gave one of the people making the telephone calls their access. This person, in turn, began selling people's credit history for $30 a piece. So you need to have a written policy in place regarding who your employees are that will have access to that information and enforce that. You need to review the security system of how you're going to handle and transport that personal data, and make sure that the policy that you have established is easy to read and understand, and make sure that if you understand the policy, your boss understands it too. Okay, this is summary. I've talked about identity theft. I defined it. I've shown you quite a few statistics and addressed ways to protect yourself and what to do if you're a victim of identity theft. What I'll do now, this is a toll-free hotline that's also available to the consumer on identity theft. The California Department of Consumer Affairs has an excellent website on all the different issues of identity theft, what to do if your driver's license number is stolen or your social security number, and on and on. There are consumer agencies out there that will assist you in getting your credit history straightened out if you're a victim, and there are also companies out there that do it for a fee.
Okay, great. I think before we go on to the video, I think we're going to open it up to our live audience to see if anyone has questions that they would like to come up to the microphone, introduce yourself. If you have a question or a comment, please feel free to do so. Yes?
Come up. Before we steal your identity.
Yeah.
Well, it's already been stolen, Bill. About a year ago, I had my identity stolen, and didn't know how it happened, but I threw away a piece of mail and picked it up out of the trash and opened it up, and I found out that This piece of mail was actually a letter welcoming me to this company's cell phone service, and that started the ball rolling. It took me about 3 or 4 days to convince the company that I'm the good guy and not the bad guy. And in that, after that, I was able to file a police report, and I've done everything that Bill said. I've talked to Bill, we've emailed back and forth. Haven't found the bad guy, but I've learned a lot in the process, and on my position at Palm Springs Police Advisory Committee, I've certainly tried to relay the information I've collected over the last year to the members, and hopefully that will get out to the community, make everybody aware. And I've done all these things that I think Bill's talked about. Some things that I have, just some comments that we can all be aware of, if we could somehow advocate and be part of some kind of consumer action to get certain other things in place. The state is a great state as far as being a consumer and being a victim of identity theft, I think. Just to stress some things that we've already known about here in this presentation. Free credit reports when you're a victim. Security alerts are free, no charge, all 3 bureaus, state law. And security freezes, which is the top, highest level with all the credit reporting agencies. And you can lock anybody out of your report with this security freeze. It's just a matter of every time you want somebody to go in and access your credit report for a loan application or a mortgage or something like that, then you have to physically go pick up the phone, call a number, put in your PIN number that the credit reporting agencies give you, and unlock it. And then it's backlocked again a couple days later. And that's great. Where I'd like to see the state improve is to change the vehicle laws. Right now, we have to, by state law, have our registration in our car. I'm an airline pilot. I park my car at the Palm Springs Airport employee parking lot. A bad guy, if he knows that I'm going to be gone on an international trip for 3 or 4 days, he might just go, like my car, steal my car. On the registration's my name and my address. I think that's a little ridiculous because now he knows that possibility that I'm not home. And now he has an open house. So what I've done, I've gone and I changed. P.O. box is a great idea. Anything that's like that somebody can get a hold of, it's a P.O. box. He's not going to equate. He's not going to have the keys to my car and also find out where I live. So I think we have a long ways to go there, especially in these days where, you know, very simple, the era of communications and the internet and the computers that we shouldn't be needing to carry this little piece of paper in our car. And the only other thing I'd like to say is I think we need to go one step further in the state and somehow force utility companies, companies that extend credit by an account or a product where a consumer can come in, say, I am so-and-so, and with a simple check on a computer, they give you an account. Then I think what they need to do is go beyond that, and they need to be responsible to verify and validate you are who you say you are. And that would help tremendously. So I'm working on that anytime I can as far as letting people know about that. And if there's a group coming up that, you know, that I hear about, I'm going to join it so I can advocate that cause. So, but thanks for your time.
Thank you.
And thank you for your comments. Anyone else in the audience have a question?
I have a question, Joe.
Come on up.
It's got to be on public record. We need to know your identity.
Can I ask a quick one in the meantime
Oh,
while she's
yes.
coming up? What is it about 6 years after the identity theft occurs that causes that spike, if you will, of people being aware that it's happened to them? Why 6 years?
Just like with our taxes, we hold on to tax records for 7 years, and then there's really not a need to hold on to them. It's the same for financial institutions. From my understanding, I've written search warrants, and I've tried to go back beyond 6 years for bank records, and banks don't hold on to them. So it's just, that's it. The records just drop out. They're shredded or destroyed or put in somebody's garbage can somewhere. And that's where that spike comes down the 6th year.
I have just one question.
Can we have your name? Can we have your name?
Pat Earhart. You mentioned how to stop fraud by picking up your mail right away and getting a P.O. box. What do you think about going to the post office and asking them not to let anyone make a change of address on your address unless they first notify you?
I can't speak for the post office and what kind of security measures they have, and I haven't changed my address in a long time because I use that P.O. box. I know that sometimes when I go in, if I don't have my key and I ask for my mail and I give them my P.O. box number, they ask for ID. And I know when I've stood in line at the post office that a lot of times people will be asked for it. I would hope that they would, if they're not doing that, that they would ask for some kind of form of identification to verify it.
Yes.
Anytime they have transactions.
I haven't had the identity theft, but someone I know said that was how their mail got transferred. They went to the post office, said, "I'm Pat Earhart, and I'm moving." And as a result, all their credit cards, everything, their bills, they had access to everything that belonged to them simply by changing their address.
Right. Yeah, I could
Oh.
see that happening.
Right. Now, one other question. I'm involved in a credit union whereby they stole the disk with all the members' identity, social security number. It was a break-in. It was actually, I understand that it was an error on the part of construction workers leaving a door open.
Mm-hmm.
And someone, it was probably an inside job, came in and stole the disk of everyone who had good credit.
Wow.
And as a result of that, we got a letter saying that we should do this, this, and this. So I did send for a credit report. Well, lo and behold, the one place that I thought that was going to protect me sent me back all my credit from my son and not from me. So I don't really think the credit union. Then I got a consumer credit report just yesterday, and again, he's listed on ours. And I don't know how to straighten that out.
I would think you'd have to talk to the credit reporting agencies. I'm sure it's a bureaucracy. I've never been inside their buildings. I don't know what kind of security measures they have or where they garner all their information from that they get, that they apply to it. I have to tell you, it's not unusual for somebody to have their credit card number used by a bad person. And there's some safeguard in the system that when the merchandise is sent, although the suspect said send it to XYZ address, it goes to the credit card holder's address, and they get it, and they call us and say, I didn't order this, and yet it came. So there's some kind of safeguards that are in the system.
So
I don't know what to say about the credit reporting agencies. I wish they were up here.
I know. I just felt very unsafe when I got back to incorrect reports. Now it's like, where do I go tomorrow? You know, it's kind of disgusting to think that they run operations like that. But anyway.
One of the victims that I had, will show that wanted poster at the end of the presentation. They moved away from town, and they went back east. And when they came back, they were not able to open up a checking account anywhere because of what the suspect had done in that case. He took him for $100,000. And it took the victim 6 weeks and the assistance of the police department in convincing a bank to open up an account for this guy because they all thought he was a suspect.
I could understand.
When he got his ATM card in the mail, it had the suspect's photo on it.
Oh,
And he immediately came down to the police department and said, this guy is literally taken over my
Stupidest
identity. And we found out that because the suspect had gone to that bank first, got his photo put on the ATM card that the suspect was using, that was the photo that would always be accessed. So if the victim went in, he would get the suspect's photo. We were able to straighten that out. But what an insult to injury. Here's a guy that has lost $100,000 to a suspect and takes 6 weeks once he gets back to town to open up an account. And then once he's back, and he gets an ATM card, and it's got the suspect's photo on it.
yeah,
So-
I guess they all make errors, but working with them, it just takes a lot of work and effort.
It does. And really, to fight identity theft, this is a three-pronged fight. The police department's got to do their job. We need to do our job in this. But without the other two prongs, it won't work either. The other two prongs are the consumer. They have to do their job. And then the companies, the corporations that offer the credit, the financial institutions, whatever, they have to do their job to fight this too. Without it, we're going to have a huge problem this century with identity theft.
I think that's true. And we're offered free reporting for 180 days, but I'm sure the identity thieves know that. So it's a little frightening to think that after 180 days, you still have to be on top of it. And you showed statistics 6 years
Right.
that, this can continue or something about the 6 years I know.
Right.
But
It
you have to
pays
keep
every 6 months to check your credit history.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Other questions? Comments? I have a question. We got some phone numbers at the end of the presentation, and, we'll call this and call that if we are victims. But at the beginning of the presentation, the family that you showcased, if I remember correctly, you said it took them 127 hours and $800 to resolve the problem. How come?
Long-distance phone charges, calling the credit companies who are, they're entrenched. Once you say that you're a victim, now they're like, how do I know you're a victim? How do I know you're not the bad person calling to try to change things and then run up more of a charge, and fees to get documents notarized to send to the different companies and everything. It takes forever, it would seem, to get your information straightened out once it gets messed up.
So the results of this crime aren't just immediately, they're actually long-term.
Very long term.
Okay, if there are no further questions, let's go to the video.
I have one.
Well, Bill, go ahead.
I have a comment and a question. Well, my comment is, I always shop by credit card when I go out in town. And over the last 2 years, there were 4 places I noticed that when you got your receipt, after you charge it, your whole credit card number was printed, because they have older machines.
Mm-hmm.
And I'd call up and say, I can't shop here anymore, because who knows, where the copy's going, and I don't want my. So 3 out of the 4 now have new machines, and you just get XXX. But anybody, if you shop or if you go to a restaurant and you get the receipt, just I'm not coming back anymore. I mean, there's no reason to print out your credit card number. I mean, it's there for the dumpster, it's there for the waiter, it's there for anybody to have it.
Right.
And my other question is, I shop a lot on the internet, and I haven't had any trouble, but how safe is it?
I would urge people just to go to secure sites, but, the unfortunate part of my job is that I get to hear all the bad stories, and there's so many transactions that happen on the internet where there isn't a problem that, but I hear the bad stories, and I want to go back to just cash and carry, but it's not going to happen. We'll never go back to that. How safe is it? Well, if you go to a secure site, it's probably pretty safe, aside from the employee inside the company doing something. You probably don't have to worry about it. If your computer is stolen from your house and you have automatic passwords, you might have some problems that way, but it's probably relatively safe.
And one more, if I may. I've never had a post office box. Say I go to a mailboxes or a place like that and get a post. is there something, is there a guarantee that they guarantee that this won't happen? I mean, are they responsible? If I go there and put my mail to send the mail out and the mail is stolen, are they responsible?
Is the post office going to guarantee mail delivery?
No.
I'm not following you. I'm sorry.
I mean, if I get a post office box, do I have some sort of guarantee that I'm safer than
No.
no?
No,
Okay.
you don't.
That's what I'm asking.
Because there's just so many different ways now that your identity can be obtained. And there are organizations primarily out of the Eastern European area that will put your information out on the internet for bad people to access. They're there, and that information is going to be gained, so.
Okay, I have a question for you, too.
Yes, sir.
With regard to posting bills and so on, generally, I think it's probably a good idea to get to the post office itself, and I know you don't work for the post office, but what's your sense of drop boxes in general? Are they a safe kind of a thing to do, or should we indeed go directly to the post office?
Statistically, the drop box is probably safer than your mailbox on the side of the street. I know that we used to have a problem with the drop box that is about half a block from City Hall because the mail was picked up at 4:30 and then the city was taking the mail out. And I'm going back several years now. Hopefully this has been changed. The city would go out and fill up the mailbox at 5 o'clock with all the mail going out, and then people would put their mail in and it wouldn't even go in the mailbox, so they're leaving it there, that type of thing. Obviously, if you can't get your mail inside the box, don't leave it sitting on top. It won't be safe. But statistically, the blue mailboxes are probably safer than your mailbox by the side of the street.
Detective Hanley, I have a question for you.
Yes, ma'am.
And as far as how safe are you on the internet, I got a call last week. My bank had suspended my credit card because someone had used my number on the internet to purchase $334 worth of jewelry to send to the Netherlands. And my bank suspended my card. I filled out the statement that you talked about, but are we supposed to report an isolated incident like that to the police department? Is that something you'd follow up on?
Well, I'd go back to say, did you check your credit history? Was that
Well,
the
now I'm
number one?
going to. I'm the kind of person, I don't balance my checkbook. I just call and make sure I still have money in it. So now I'm thinking maybe I have to go back for the last few years to see if it happened more than once.
Yeah.
It's true. So I'm going to do that this week. That's what I'm planning on doing. But if it's an isolated incident, should we still report it?
You know, I don't think the police have a grasp of the situation, what's going on there, nor do we provide the resources that we need to provide for any type of crime unless we know that's going on out there. Are my fellow officers going to beat me up tomorrow because there'll be 30 more people reporting identity theft? Yeah, probably. But I think it needs to be reported. Otherwise, we won't have a grasp on the situation. Are we going to be able to solve your Netherlands case? Probably not. I'd like for the department to send me to Holland to do some follow-up work, but I just can't convince the chief to do that.
Thank you.
Ma'am?
My name is Dee Critchlow, and I'm from Palm Desert. I read in the paper today about your discussion and your topic, and I thought it was so important. And I'm glad to see that Palm Springs is taking the affirmative and the lead in this community to let the public know how bad it is. I have been working with a company that since November has sponsored a product that is helpful in credit restoration and protection, and it offers daily credit reporting, credit monitoring, as well as credit restoration services from former FBI and CIA agents, not just the local college kids that are trying to earn a living working part-time. It also offers a $25,000 insurance coverage for that $800 loss that the young couple suffered. And it's been difficult for me to be able to get it out to the public in a large enough forum. And it is, according to our publications in the Federal Trade Commission, says 9.9 million numbers of victims in 2002 alone. and 27.3 million numbers of victims in the last 5 years. So that shows you how great the increase has been, and there is no stopping it. It has been reported as the number one white-collar crime, if you will, in the country, and the thing that we're supposed to be most concerned about. Things like your internet things, eBay has it happen all the time, and you're right, there's no, it's limited, it's an occasional, but it's enough that it should make the public very, very wary to look out for things like that. And also college students are, as you can see, the number one victim because of their age, because no credit is ideal. So that's all I would like to tell you, and if there is any interest in it, I won't take any further time, but I would like a chance to discuss it with you at some point. So thank you very much.
Okay, leave me the information later. Okay, that'd be great. Thank you. Anybody else have questions,
Okay, one more.
comments? Oh, we have.
I'm John Rosenberger from Palm Springs. You go to a company and use your credit card, and 3 years later you come back and you say, I'm John Rosenberger, and they'll type it in and they say, oh, is this still, are you still at such and such an address? And they have all my information for my credit card. And I'm a little concerned, you know, anybody who's access to that company has got my credit, my Visa card or whatever card is. Should that be of concern?
I think it should. Hopefully the companies are taking steps to safeguard that information. I'm a little concerned about the way that they phrase their questions, are you still living at, versus what is your address? That type of thing. We've had some companies that took some unusual steps to safeguard their customers by looking at information that was provided when the customer came in, and have actually called the police and said, you know, when this person called and they said they were so-and-so, we tracked this information down and we believe that it's not who they said they were, and we want you to know their address, that type of thing. We've gone out and we've had some luck in locating the criminals in that case. But it's important for the companies to take the steps that they need to take to protect your information.
Okay, thank you. The one other question I have is many of the companies have gone to these little boxes when you use your credit card, and you have to sign them, and they're obviously stored away someplace with your signature. And I never understood, why do they do that instead of just the one copy that I sign and then give it to them and then they register it? Instead, it's gone into a computer base with my signature. And they say it's to safeguard future. Well, my handwriting sometimes is all over the place, and you wouldn't recognize it from one place to another. So I don't understand why they need that kind of a computerized signature.
It'd probably be a question for the banking industry, but I think it probably has to do with the requirements that are on your credit card for a company to get the money for that charge. They have to get a signature from the customer, and they've elected to store it electronically versus some other way. You know, that's the way our society is going with storing things electronically. And this year, banks are going that way, where the original draft check that you write won't necessarily go back to your bank. In years gone by, that check would eventually get back to your bank and then maybe be Xeroxed or sent back to you depending on how you run your checking account. But this year that law has changed. It will go to the company's bank, and then they can electronically debit your account. So there's the whole system is changing financially, the way we think and do things business-wise.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Let's look at the video.
ESPN.
This video is produced by the U.S. Postal Service.
Correct.
Hello? Hey, Joyce. Any word yet? What? I don't understand. What credit cards? You got any credit cards we don't know about?
No.
But we never even got a past due notice. Maryland? No, there has to be some sort of mistake. We don't even live there. Can we get a copy of the credit report or what? It's not our address. Well, who should I talk to? No, look, I understand, but what? And the bank? What about the loan? All right. Okay. Thanks for calling.
Well, what did she say?
They apparently can't approve the loan for the new house. They said we've got 3 delinquent credit card accounts.
Well, that's impossible. We only have the
Get
Markins
this,
and...
it's not even our address. They're billed to an address in Maryland.
Maryland?
No, it's crazy.
What about the house?
Let's find some treasure. Oh, what's this? Yes. They're everywhere. Hold up. Better get out. Just here to take care of your lawn, man. Get it. Get it. This. Give you that. We good? We good? Go. All right, baby, what we got? Power bill. Something. Something else. Doctor's office. Credit card. Would you like a credit card? I think I'll have a credit card or 6. Oh, man. IRS. Do they have personal information involved with that? You look like a Miss Merriweather. That's me. It's a good day to be somebody else. We need to stop hitting the mailboxes before somebody gets smart.
It's no sweat. You know my new girl, Mandy? She works in payroll at this big place over in Adamsburg. She's gonna start hooking us up with employment applications, all kinds of stuff from over there.
Ain't she gonna know we're up to something?
I told her I needed the info for this telemarketing thing I'm doing. Said it would increase my commissions if I got new names for the list. Baby, if they don't want to buy, they can just hang up.
Sweet.
I told her we only wanted applications from the people they didn't hire. All right? That way, no way it comes back on us.
You think she's cool, huh?
Hell yeah, man. She's got a kid and stuff. She don't care where the free dinners are coming from as long as they keep coming.
Man, that's brutal.
Speak of the devil, there's my baby.
Come dance with me.
Hi, can I help you?
Yeah, hi, I'm Postal Inspector Alan Goddard. Looking for Mandy Richards.
This is Mandy.
Hi, Mandy Richards?
Yeah.
Hi, I'm Postal Inspector Alan Goddard. This is my partner, Inspector Neese. Is there someplace we can talk in private?
I guess we can go into the break room.
Yeah, that'd be fine. You recognize this man?
Yeah, that's my boyfriend, Nick. Is he in some kind of trouble?
You're both in trouble, Mandy. You want to tell us about the employment applications you've been giving him?
He's been using those to do some telemarketing.
What if I told you he's been using them illegally? And he's running a mail fraud scam? And what if I told you that makes you an accessory to a federal crime?
Look, I don't know anything about that.
Your boyfriend slipped up, Mandy. He bought a car a few weeks ago on someone else's credit. And then he turned around and sold it for some quick cash, but he forgot to clean it up first. And guess what we found under the seat? It didn't take long to figure out where he got this.
I swear, I didn't know. He said no one was going to get in trouble.
Mandy, we believe you. not sure a jury will. Why don't you help yourself?
Look, I didn't know. I swear I cannot go to jail. My little girl.
Be smart, Mandy. We can't promise anything, but we'll tell the U.S. attorney you cooperated. If you help us with Nick.
What do I have to do?
Mandy, baby, what's up?
Don't come up here with all that baby stuff. You've been playing me.
What you talking about, girl? I'm straight with you.
You keep telling me you're using these for telemarketing lists. And you get a new car every couple of months. You move from one nice place to the other. You don't make that kind of cash talking on the phone.
Baby, I told you it's all commission. Yeah, plus we got that computer thing going. There's those websites. Come here.
What kind of fool do you think I am? I'm not going to risk my job so you can go spend the money on some other tramp.
Baby, it's not like that.
Look, I got a kid to think about. And until you cut me in for some of the money, you can forget about these applications.
Mandy, you know I ain't got no other woman. I don't know what the hell you're talking about. There's no scam.
Hey, man, we ain't got all day.
Yeah. Did you meet Daryl in church?
All right, look, we got a little thing going, okay? It's no big deal. We're just opening some credit card accounts in these folks' names. Pop them for a few grand at a time. Listen, baby, the credit card companies cover the money. Nobody's getting hurt.
You're crazy. I could go to jail for helping you with this stuff. Who's going to take care of my little girl then?
No, listen, baby, I'm telling you, it's nothing. It's like we max out these credit cards, right? And then we keep paying the minimum on the bill. Nobody ever suspects a thing. Now, listen, I've been taking care of you, right? What do you think's been paying for all these nice clothes and stuff, huh?
If I'm risking my neck, you're going to cut me in for some of the green, too.
No. All right, look, I'll have to ask Daryl about it. He's not going to like bringing anybody new.
I suspect in the car Daryl Henderson has priors for weapons charges. Do this one by the
I said we'll see, all right? Now, I need those names, or...
You got one of those credit cards on you? Give me one. Let me go buy my baby some clothes. That's the least you can do. And we'll talk about everything else later.
All right, whatever.
That's it.
Here. Now, don't go crazy with that. And don't shop anywhere people know you. And don't say a word to Daryl about this. Are we cool? Are we cool?
Yeah, we're cool.
Daryl and Nick are serving time in a federal prison right now, and Mandy lost her job. Unfortunately for the Pattersons, it took several months and hundreds of dollars in legal fees to clean up their credit reports and clear their good name. In the meantime, their dream home was sold to another buyer, and they're still struggling to repair all the damage done by these crooks. The really sad thing is that it might have been prevented by following 4 simple steps. First of all, deposit all outgoing mail in a blue postal collection box rather than using a residential mailbox. In some parts of the country, theft from residential mailboxes is a real problem. Second, shred or burn all unwanted pre-approved credit applications and financial statements, old credit cards, and other documents. Thieves often will go through trash containers or even dumpsters to find these items and use them to steal your identity. Third, once a year, order a copy of your own credit report, especially before making large purchases like a new home or car. Check it carefully for any activity that you did not authorize. Also, check for accounts that you might have forgotten to close. Sometimes thieves take over these old accounts and use them to order new credit cards and checks. Fourth, limit the amount of personal information that you give out over the telephone and internet. Try to ensure that you only provide such information to reputable companies, and be sure to read their policies on confidentiality to be sure they aren't sharing your information with anyone else. If you think you've been the victim of identity theft, then you need to report it. Contact your local United States Postal Inspector. You can find the number on our website at usps.com/postal inspectors. Identity theft is the fastest growing crime in America, but it doesn't have to happen to you.
A few concluding comments. It's amazing, it really is. We sit here in the audience and we think we know a lot about it, and yet the more we hear, the more we say, oh my God, what am I going to do? Our mailboxes, our credit cards, our stores, when we purchase things over the phone, when we purchase things through the mail, when we send out checks, how can we prevent something like this happening to us? And the answer really is we have to sell everything, go and use cash only and lock ourselves in our room, and then we'll be 100% safe. Other than that, the chances of one of us in this room being a victim is great. So how can we do that? How can we take reasonable precautions? We had a couple of good ideas this evening on what to do when we go out and use our credit cards. But I think that for me, after looking at all these things and getting overwhelmed by how pervasive our electronic society is and the abuses that go along with it, I know I reached a certain age where I have a physical checkup every year. My suggestion and what I'm going to do is good advice. I'm going to have a financial checkup at least once a year and get my credit checked. And this way, I could live free, but I can mitigate any damage done with these crimes. I would like to thank Detective Bill Henley, Palm Springs Police Department, for his very, very informative presentation this evening. Thank you, commissioners, and thank you, audiences, for attending this evening. And good night. Question? Yes?
I did have one guy that I'm looking for, and they're going to put the wanted poster up.
Oh, we're going to end with a wanted poster.
No. I'll be leaving now. No.
Okay.
Okay, could you give us his name?
Okay, this is Jonathan Wayne Gilbertson, and he's born June 6, 1972. This is the man that we're looking for over $100,000 in identity theft. What happened in this individual case is the victim allowed him to stay at his residence for a few days, felt sorry for the guy and allowed him to stay there. And that time, he went through the victim's property, got the identifying data, and started there. Mr. Gilbertson has gone to the point that he went to the great state of Arizona and obtained an identification card in the victim's name. He has even gone to the extent that when he's gambled with the money that he stole from the victim and he won at the casinos, he's declared the winnings in the victim's name so that the victim will have to fight with IRS along with that. Over $100,000, we're still looking for him, and if anybody knows where we can find him, we'd love to pick him up. He was actually charged in San Bernardino County with over 13 counts of identity theft from our case. Our case is split. Unfortunately, our crooks don't recognize their boundaries, and a lot of our crooks will take our money from our citizens and go elsewhere, or take their identity and go elsewhere to do it. But he was charged in San Bernardino County.
Thank you. Okay, thank you, Bill, and ladies and gentlemen, good night.
And I thank you all for coming.